that thumbnail shot might have been the closest I've come to doing a burpee in like 10 years, and upon reflection, let's make it another 10 years. I hate burpees. Hi everyone, Rosie here. Bit of a different angle today because I'm sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor because I'm about to take all of the books off my bookshelves and actually get them sorted out. So I've removed everything from my office except like the desk, like the chairs in the other room. Got totally clear surface. It's like 9 o'clock on a Sunday and it's time. We moved into our new house back in the middle of May. When I'm filming this, it is almost the middle of September. It's been 4 months and all of my books are still just like randomly piled on the shelves. Half of them have like their pages out, not their spines. They're not really organized. They're just sort of in the rough categories where I threw them when I was unpacking boxes so that I wouldn't have box mountain in my office. And it's time to fix that. I want these shelves to be the shelves that I want them to be, or rather, I want them to be the best version of their current selves. Mostly I read ebooks, so most of my physical books are quite old, and they're books for the most part that I read before 2016. I do have ideas and things I want to do with my shelves. Eventually I want to get really nice editions of all my favorite books. In the meantime, because that's like a long-term, many years goal, I know that this can be better than just a random jumble. I think my overall goal for how I want to organize them is the same as it was on my old shelves. I don't think I ever actually did an old bookshelf tour. I mean, it's basically the same thing, so it would all be repetitive anyway. But because I've got this like IKEA Kallax, like it's boxes type thing, I like to do it by genre roughly, or like groupings that make sense. And then within that, maybe I'll do alphabetical. I don't really know, but I like to keep like types of books together. That's what makes sense to me. So I'm gonna start making piles on my floor. Let's switch up the view and I will check back in with you when I have something interesting to say again. Alright, I've got 7 cubbies cleared out, I think. Yes, 7 out of 16 cubbies cleared out, but these were the textbooks, so they were bigger. What have we got so far for categories? Micro, macro, and econometrics econ textbooks. We both studied economics in undergrad and in grad school, so we've got a lot of these. Other assorted economics textbooks, 3 calculus textbooks, and it's amazing it's only 3 because none of mine made it. I bought this exact textbook at least twice in undergrad, and I apparently don't have a copy anymore. But since Bear has 3, I think we're covered. Some other math, random like study guides, and all the textbooks that are floppy. I'm gonna use a lot of the textbooks not as like display books, but to build a second level in my cubbies. I'll film on the other camera or something and show what you mean, but I have too many books to just fit in one row on these shelves. So what I did at the old apartment, what I'm probably gonna do here is I'd use like 3 textbooks and put them at the back of a shelf and then like put a row of books along here and then another row in front. You can sort of see both. I'll show you what I mean. So we've got all that. I've got a few little stacks of books that are my partner's that I'll probably put aside for him to do what he wants with. And then the beginnings of the econ nonfiction. Okay, update part 2. As you can see, the shelves are empty. It's only been 4 months, but somehow they need a massive dust, so I'm gonna do that. But first, let's run through sort of the general groupings. I can't really move, so I'm just gonna point. Over here, as you can see, in the very bottom of the frame, I've got all my nonfiction econ. I said that pile was gonna grow and it did. Then I've got like the bulk of my other nonfiction books that I have physically. These are mostly like sort of about history or about people. It's not a super like defined thing because some of them are memoirs, some of them are biographies, most of them are about people in some way. I have very little, if any, physical history books or nonfiction books that are not in some way linked back to it. I don't even know how to explain it. It makes sense in my head, okay? I've got books about like the wives of astronauts, and what else have I got? I don't know. Like memoirs of people who were living in interesting places or doing interesting things. I've got a book about, you know, princesses who were not your typical princess, and it's called Princesses Behaving Badly, or something other one that I don't like. Does this make sense? I hope it does. I didn't plan this video out at all, as you can see, and we're just gonna run with that. Then we move into fiction. So this pile and then that one right in front of it here, these are most of my, like, I guess, not genre fiction. So I've got a few classics in there and some like contemporary literary fiction-y type stuff. There's some magical realism in there. Not sure if I should classify that with the literary fiction or the fantasy, honestly. Actually, given where the magical realism is, this book should move. This one's Geek Love by Catherine Dunn. This one's been giving me trouble. I'm like, I don't know where it belongs, but we're gonna put it there for now, actually. So those are like just general fiction-y stuff. Then I have, this is all fantasy, or I mean, fantasy or fantasy adjacent, I guess. Honestly, I don't even know. It just makes sense, okay? Because like the Soulless series by Gail Carriger and like the other series related to it. It's vampires, it's werewolves, it's kind of steampunk though. For me, it fits better in fantasy than in science fiction, so that's where I'm putting it. We've got 3 little stacks, well, 1 big stack and 2 small stacks of Discworld and Terry Pratchett books. They're over a cubby on their own, I think. Then I've just got a little stack with 2 random sci-fi novels, my Douglas Adams box set, and the 3 Welcome to Night Vale novels. Again, Welcome to Night Vale is one of those things where I'm just like, I don't know where this fits. I don't know where these books belong. Yes, okay, they've got this huge stack of books on the desk as well, and these are all my, well, some of it's poetry, some of it is like books in a specific binding that I like to put together because they look really nice. Also my giant copy of Lord of the Rings, and my first 3 Franny Fishers, because those are the ones that like I want, I don't know, I like to put them together. They don't totally fit anywhere else, so we're gonna do that. All right, I said that I would show you how I build my little 2-tier stack using textbooks, which maybe this is a niche thing, but if you've got deep bookshelves, too many books, and a load of old textbooks, this is a really great way to solve all those problems at once. I don't know if these books are actually going to stay on this shelf because it's really low to the ground, because that's where I'm filming now, but I kind of want all my cutest and favorite books to be higher up so that when I'm filming in my chair usually, they'll be in the background. That's sort of one of the goals for today, but we're going to illustrate here at least, and I'll show you what I mean. So for this, I have 3 old study guides, and actually these are not all the same size, which is kind of frustrating, but we can work with it. So I've just got 3 old study guides or textbooks, whatever you want to use. Again, this is so basic. A lot of people build like things with wood or like buy little shelf risers to do this, but for me it was like, well, I already own the textbooks, so even if it's not perfect, I'm going to do that at least for now until I set up like my actual dream shelves, which I have so many plans for. And let me know down below in the comments if you'd be interested in a like making over my office video. I know it's not my typical content, but I'm really excited to turn this like it's a totally fine office into like my dream room. So if you would like to see that sometime in the next year, let me know down below. Anyways, back to shelves. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put the smallest one on the bottom because it's only smaller by like 1.5 centimeters, so it doesn't like make a difference. And that way I get the full surface. I just push them to the back and one side of the shelf, like so. Now the downside to using textbooks and not like actual proper shelf rises or blocks of wood or something is that there is a gap. They don't like fully span the shelf. Let's put some books on. Let's do some fantasy books. Why not? Had to do a little checking of series order. I also appear to be missing a book in this series, but you know what, that's okay. So this is sort of how it looks. I don't know if you can really see on the camera. It's kind of dark because, I mean, dark wall, dark shelves. It's all just very dark in here. But yeah, you can see like, I don't know, several inches, maybe 3 inches of the rear books above the front books. And it lets you double up your shelves. Okay, needless tutorial over. I'm going to get stuck in for real to getting books up on the shelves. And that's it. This was actually so much faster than I thought. I mean, it's taken like, I don't know, an hour and a half or 2 hours, but I was sort of worried when I started that it was gonna take me all day, and it definitely hasn't. Let me grab my camera down. Okay, so here's a view of sort of everything all at once. I definitely didn't need to double stack. I forgot that at the apartment, several of the cubes weren't used for books, and that's why I didn't have as much space. But I think, given that I want to film against this more, spoiler alert, expect more videos against the book backdrop, I wanted to make the top 2 rows a bit like denser and more like filled with actual books, because those are the ones that are really going to be in my background. And then I'm okay if the bottom 2 are a bit more sparse. I think it looks cute. So now let's go in from top left and go across. So the top one is my like people and history and places and like general nonfiction stuff. I haven't really organized that much within each little cubby because there's so few books that there's just no need, and I'd rather put them in so that they fit nicely than try and put them in alphabetical order. I have, however, separated out unread books from read books. Expect a video in the next couple days about that and all the physical books that I have not yet read. Then we come to my comics and graphic novels shelf. This is actually like, I didn't take it out and redo it because this is the only shelf I'd actually set up properly when we moved in. That one just stayed as is. I know some of the series aren't in order and stuff, but it's good enough. As you can see, I like an organized but then messy bookshelf. Then we've got my gorgeous Lord of the Rings bind up. These are 2 books about like the English language, and they could go somewhere else, but they're beautiful and they fit nicely here, so we're gonna put them here. Little Cement Bear, that was a present from my partner. Then I've got poetry, so I've got some Leonard Cohen and then some other books. My Christmas Tolkien book, which is gorgeous, and I just like it. My 3 physical Franny Fisher novels. Eventually I want to have like the whole set and have a beautiful shelf with all of them, but again, that's like a long-term plan. So for now I just put them there where they can be in my like pretty books and poetry section. Okay, last book on the last shelf on the top level, that's what I mean. This is like general fiction. This is the one where I was like, I don't know, like you see, we've got some Sherlock Holmes, got a Thackeray, got some Woodhouse, got a bunch of modern literary fiction, got some magical realism in here. Again, unread books separated, but otherwise just like, how do these fit well in the cubby? Then we start on some of my fantasy-esque stuff. I've got all my Neil Gaimans in the back, all my Gil Carragers in the front, Discworld. This entire cubby is just Terry Pratchett books. Some of them are translated copies of one of my favorite books, so you know, That was a thing I was collecting for a while. Maybe I will again. For now, I have these ones actually organized by sub-series for the most part, but I don't have by any means all of them, or matching sets, so it doesn't really matter. Then we've got the more like science fiction plus a few fantasy because they fit better here. And also some of these classics, and I think they're called like the Canterbury Classics. I've got Dracula, Brothers Grimm, Frankenstein, and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and they're just like really pretty. Plus this little unicorn ornament. I bought this when I moved to Ottawa because I'd been like moving often and like a student for so long that I didn't want to buy anything breakable, and then I moved here and I was like, oh my god, I can own decorative things. Then we come into my non-fiction econ collection. I've got some like classical authors in the back there. I've got some Smith and some Marks and some others, and then like an assortment of modern authors in here. Some of this isn't strictly econ, like these ones are really probably more like feminism, and this is feminism. This is about the situation in Tibet. I haven't actually read it yet, so I don't know, but like they fit better here than we're anywhere else, so we're leaving them here for now. Then the next row down gets a bit more sparse. I've got our math textbooks that I didn't use for building. I mean, I don't know why I keep these out so much. We never refer to them, but you never know. If I pack them away, we will need them. Then I've got non-fiction books about math plus Charles Darwin because it's like the only science books I have. So I put him with math because I figure that's where he'd be most comfortable. More fantasy. Here we've got some more series. Got some series from when I was a kid, and yeah, basically this is all books from when I was a kid. I've got my university yearbooks and both of our high school yearbooks. We've got our core economic theory. Again, the stuff that I didn't use to build second layers elsewhere. We've got our macro, our micro, some econometrics. Then this one on the bottom row is just like other economic stuff, and some of my partner's books, which I will let him decide what he wants to do with. Like I said, it's not super organized. I think I'd be more likely to organize like alphabetically by author or something if I had actual shelves. But where these are all small boxes, there's so many interrupts that to get it looking good, I'd kind of rather just put the books where it works as opposed to try and really organize them. And again, as I said, I really don't own that many physical books, and they're all compartmentalized, so I know where to look for whatever I want, and it's just not that complicated. This is what works for me right now. I'm not sure what I'll do when I build like the bookshelves of my dreams that I'm thinking about, but for now, I think this is a nice balance of like looks good but also serves a purpose, and I can find the books when I want them. We'll see. This is basically what I did at the last place. I just sort of rejudged it for the new room, but it worked well there, and I'm optimistic that it's going to work really well here as well. And it is so good to like actually see my books and not just see a whole bunch of like pages and like random piles. I'm really excited about this, and I'm really glad that I took the time to do it. Let me know down below, was this an interesting video? Hopefully the editing came together how I'm picturing it in my head. And also, please tell me, how do you guys organize your bookshelves? Because like I like this for now, but as I said, long term, I think I want to try something else, and I'm not totally sure what that is. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of my videos, please hit subscribe, and thank you for watching.